This is a 225 Q&A practice test. Plaintiff attorney, Mr. Olson, capital O-L-S-O-N. Defense attorney, Mr. Ramos, capital R-A-M-O-S. And we'll start with plaintiff attorney. Ready? Here we go. And out of these 6 officers, only 2 officers complied with the Hillside Police Department, right? Yes. So the policy is not always followed by even other officers other than Tom Brown, right? I would say no. And Officer Crane, was he a trainee at that time? Sanders, I believe James was working with Larson, who was the trainee. James is Larson's first name. It's backwards there. Was Sanders a trainee? I'm sorry, was Sanders a trainee? Yes. Any other trainees on that? On this? No. Okay, so bottom line, everybody didn't comply with the procedures, right? Everybody did comply. Everybody did not comply with the recording policy, right? Not everyone, no. And you would agree, of the parts of the tapes we've heard from this call, we have heard less than 2 minutes, right? Yes, but this call appeared to last about 13 minutes, right? So what we hear on the recording is not a complete record of what transpired, right? And would you agree that, at least as it relates to some crimes, the alleged victim gets to control whether or not he even makes a report or she makes a report, right? The department has a report writing policy as well, but that's my question. A victim can refuse to make a report, right? They could refuse to make a report, yes. And it's difficult, if not impossible, sometimes to pursue investigation without the cooperation of victim, right? To pursue, yes, or to write a report, to pursue the investigation. I mean, of course, if the person doesn't want to cooperate, yes, it would be more difficult. Okay, and in this case, there's more resolution in the cases, possibly civil in nature. This was a civil dispute, yes. The disposition of the call, yes. You agree, as a basic practice, there's no requirement that the Hillside Police Department write reports regarding civil disputes, right? Yes. In fact, the main function is to investigate crimes. I don't know about our main function. The report writing policy is clear about report writing. Even in this scenario you're giving me, under the policy you're giving me, if there was a dispute, there was some sort of disturbance, that the parties are at least familiar with each other, at least it should be noted in an incident report. A strictly civil dispute is not one that would require a report, right? It doesn't really address that, no. When someone steals money from someone else, is that a civil dispute or is that a theft? That would be a theft. Is that criminal or civil? That's criminal. And who got to say that this was actually a civil dispute? The person handling the call or responsible for the call. And so although when someone steals money from someone else, it's criminal, who decided in this particular case to label it as something civil? Tom Brown. How long did you work with Tom Brown? 2 years. Were you friends with him? Yes, sir. Do you see him in the courtroom today? Yes, sir. Can you describe where he's sitting and maybe the color of his tie? He's seated just to the left of me in a black suit with a dark tie, maybe some white dots on it. All right, what shift did you use to work with him in 2010? Do you recall? I was assigned to graveyard. Were you working, do you know, on the 10th of May of 2010? Yes, sir. Okay. Oh, excuse me, March 10th of 2010. Yes, sir. Okay, and do you remember what shift you were working then? Yes, sir. What was that? I think I was assigned to graveyard still at that time. Do you remember going out to a call that was on Main and Lincoln? Yes, sir. What did you go there? Do you remember? An officer in that area had called for backup, routine backup at that time. Okay, who was that called for routine backup? Officer Brown. Then did you, as part of your job requirements or as your job, did you go help him back up? Yes, sir. When you got there, do you remember what you saw at all, officer? Yes, sir. Okay, what did you see? Upon arriving, I saw 2 people were already there, 2 citizens. One was a black male adult, the other I believe was a white or Hispanic female adult, and Officer Brown was in the middle of talking to both of them. Okay, the black male, do you remember his body build? I believe he was a short black male, maybe 5'5", average build, short hair, average build. Yes, sir. Now, when you got there, did you hear what Brown was talking to them about? Briefly, I heard what the incident was about. Yes. Okay, and what was your understanding? From my understanding, it was a prostitution deal that had gone bad. Okay, did you see Tom Brown talking to the African-American male? Yes, sir. Do you have a real clear memory of this incident? Not real clear. I remember bits and pieces of it. Okay, anything else about it stand out in your mind besides what we've just talked about? Nothing of a significant nature, no. What about the short, average build African-American man? Did he seem happy? He was a little upset. I remember that. Do you remember him yelling, speaking loud, maybe yelling? Yes. As relates to the call you responded to on 31010, it was as a result of Tom Brown requesting more units, yes sir, and at some point you got to the scene, yes sir, and is it your recollection that you saw Tom Brown that morning, I guess, or that shift, yes sir, and on that call, yes sir, did Tom Brown appear to be hiding his activities from you when you arrived? No sir. Did he appear to be directing? And I can't remember. Did you testify as to whether or not you saw a female there on that night? I don't know if I testified to it, but I did see a female there that night. And is this within? Can you remember her race? I believe she was a white or Hispanic, light-skinned complexion. And did she seem to be somehow connected to the average size male, black, that you saw based off of what I believe was going on? Yes. Did you see Tom Brown whispering or anything like that to that female? Not whispering. He had talked to her, but he wasn't whispering to her. No. Any indication at all he was trying to hide the conversation? No. All right, the word list. We have hillside, capital HILLSIDE. Tom Brown, capital TOM, new word, capital BROWN. Crane, capital CRANE. James, capital JAMES. Sanders, capital SANDERS. Larson, capital LARSON. And that is it for the word list. And that will conclude our 225 Q&A practice test.